but keep.
I got a race on this.
Are you calling right now?
Okay.
Is the group order in?
No, it's not in yet. They're doing it right now.
Yeah, I'm just about to do the group order right now.
Sorry, guys. I know this is ill-timed, but it is what it is.
Shouldn't take too long, right?
Where are they all three going to take that order?
Can I get everyone's attention? Oh, most everybody's here? No?
What is it about?
I wanted to start composting again, and I'd like to have
We'll
a
talk
chance.
about, let's just, because we get so excited. No offense.
No problem.
I just want to get everybody at the table.
Sorry.
After though, Cal.
Yes.
Picking up on tension.
Everyone will still be here.
Composting was a disaster.
Yes.
It was. Found maggots all over the compost.
I'd like to give given a chance for a week anyway, because I've done it for a long time, and I'm
Are you guys
confident
all
I
three
can
gonna be
give
out
us a
here
lot of
doing
material for the garden.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't it might be somebody.
Accidents happen, but I have a lot of experience. I'd like the chance.
Maybe that.
I've made a compost bin already. It's ready to go.
Soap and Brillo pads. You hear that, Nikki?
He's gonna leave
Take it like that.
breeding ground.
Maybe he is.
You come and check anytime you want.
You never
Check
know.
anytime you want.
I apologize, that was totally my fault. I'll help you, and
I'd
if
love
you
that.
need help dumping it out more
kinda down
often, so
right
we
now,
don't
you
get it
alright?
right.
I would love that. I would like to
I'm
turn
happy.
every other
Anybody
day.
wants that here, I'm with you.
Turn it every other day. I'd love that.
Okay. Well, I'm talking
a little
about
tired
emptying the
after
compost.
Even better. I would love that.
Sorry.
Whatever you need me to
Any
do,
help?
let me know.
I was only going to try caramel because I have too many things on my plate. I thought maybe. we
Okay,
could
so
try
let's just let's get this moving along here. I know we tried last night to accomplish what we think the pillars of Utopia are, but just because it was after a long day and we were all kind of stressed, we weren't being as productive as I think we could have been. So we're going to try this again. The purpose of the pillars of Utopia are for us to experiment with different government structures that we believe could help us for the 3 days like we have been. And at the end, we take what was most influential or beneficial from that government structure and use it as a pillar to form a more perfect government structure overall. Or what we think are necessary inspirations or pillars, if you will, to a perfect society. So there have been 5 so far. Mike is 6 with Mictopia. He really made sure that we emphasized structure and documentation and clear and concise form. And that's what's happening currently in Mictopia. First was myself. It was anarchy. I stressed a few important things such as self-policing, accountability, and responsibility. Obviously, we know why anarchy isn't the most ideal structure of government, but there are positives that we can take away from it. Second was Bella. Bella really emphasized kindness and appreciation for others. And in Bella's government, we really tried to put an emphasis on structure. That's when we did the whole infrastructure, garden, majors and minor chore list, things like that. Thereafter, we had Amanda. Amanda's government really placed an emphasis on resolving conflict through a council of peers and holding your leaders accountable. After that, we had Josh. Josh wanted us and everybody to know that investing in the future of Utopia is important. If we're not thinking of the end game or us in long terms, our short-term goals are going to be kind of feeble. Lastly, we have Kristen. Kristen kind of implemented an incentive-based work structure. She wanted everyone to kind of focus on those that work hard are rewarded for such acts. And that's kind of what we're under right now. So I think we're going to start from the top. And what we're going to do is kind of refine, I should say. We're going to try and refine these pillars that we have right now. And what our goal is to make them as perfect as possible. And from here on out, we kind of had a guideline. We have a guideline as how we want to act for the future. So does anybody want to start with anarchy from what we took away? Does everybody think that that's probably a good representation of the positive things we brought from anarchy? Go ahead.
I love take responsibility for your actions. I'm not into the self-policing part, especially the policing part. If it's just that, I love it.
Is it the word police that kind of makes you unease?
No, it's policing brings in judgment, which brings in punishment, right? Even self-punishment is unacceptable. It's the essential conundrum of our human psyche. If you don't accept where you're at, you can't move forward. It's a real bitch, but it's just the way that it is. And the same goes with other people. If you're judging them, you're holding them in their places. Policing, the judicial system, everything's about you're bad, you get punished. You can't accept where you're at, nobody moves forward. That's why I have issue with self-policing.
The reason I wanted self-policing to be such an important word in it isn't because I understand the word police on the outside as law enforcement. It's enforcement. They are the ones that kind of catch you when you're doing wrong and what have you. Self-policing to me is different in such a way that when you self-police, basically you're just holding yourself at the same precedence. You're holding yourself to your own personal moral structure and moral code because the only person that controls your actions are you. So that's kind of what self-policing is to me. It's really less about worrying about what other people are doing and if they're breaking laws, but worrying about yourself and making sure you're not really breaking any laws, or at least any, when I use the word law and anarchy, it's kind of just like a human-to-human law that you wouldn't do unto others as you wouldn't have done unto yourself.
Very articulate.
So that's kind of what I think self-policing is. I understand the word policing can kind of be misinterpreted, and we can think of a different word that kind of means the same thing.
I'd like to, because even if we ourselves define policing as you're sticking to your own moral code, we're an example to, and I want to be the best example concisely. I love to talk about kindness and as a verse to, we talk acceptance, and I think there's a right word for that, and I'd like to find it.
Does anybody have any suggestions that's kind of similar to the idea of what we think self-policing is, but maybe different verbiage? Go ahead.
Maybe self-awareness.
Okay.
I like that very much.
Self-awareness.
Take responsibility for yourself.
So what if we put take responsibility for your actions and, what did you say, Bella?
Self-awareness.
And beware of yourself and your actions.
I love it.
Okay. So we'll kind of tweak it to take responsibility and be aware of your actions.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Does everybody feel like that's pretty much how we're going to set up anarchy?
I like it.
I like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. So next in what we had was Bella's government.
Do we need 2/3 majority?
Would you like to take a vote on that? Yeah, we can do that. So would you read the final pillar for us?
Take responsibility and be aware of your actions.
Okay. You want to go ahead and take a vote and make sure that we're going to pass that into a concrete pillar of Utopia?
The ayes have it.
Okay,
Nice.
very good. Now, for Bella's government structure really emphasized a lot of different things. I know we say kindness, but it was also appreciation, empathy, things like that, compassion. So show kindness to others and complete your daily task. Does everyone think that the verbiage in that sentence really sums up what we were trying to articulate with Bella's government? Go ahead.
I actually think it started sort of like that, but some of us had a conversation, and I think actually Bella's is more about organization. Because wasn't that the first to actually organize chores and what have you that has stuck up to this point? So I think it was really organization, because we as guys didn't have the conversation that you guys. I heard your conversations were awesome, and they were like really kind, and they worked well. But we didn't get that sense. We got the first, hey, you guys are good at blah blah blah, which was awesome. I loved it. But we kind of got a sense more it was organization, and it put a lot of things down.
Yeah, that was the whole point of, thank you, Rob, because that was the whole point of my government, was to show that women can not only be compassionate and appreciative of all those around us, but we can also get shit done.
Well, then
Pardon
if
my
we
French,
wanna-
but get things done, yeah.
Right. So to maybe restruct this sentence, what is the word for? What's the definition of begetting?
Begetting?
Yeah. Or did I make that word up?
To beget, like he begat so-and-so, who begat so-and-so, like
Yeah.
to
What
give
does that
birth
mean? To give birth to. So if I say begetting a structure.
We created. I like
I
the
don't
word
know if
creative.
begetting is the word to go
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
We created.
word.
Like creation. Women were created. So
I would
men.
say, let's
created structure.
What do you think about? Oh my God, I had it. basically with Bella's government, what the women did together is we knew what had to be done, but it was really how we went about it,
Did it with
that made the
compassion
difference.
and appreciation.
We really made an effort to listen to each other, have a nice long conversation, hear everyone. We were very open and listening and attentive to each other. Go ahead.
I feel like established organizational unity.
Yes, thank you. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's good.
Established
so
organizational unity. Yes.
Okay.
With love and appreciation. Or I want the words love and appreciation, or compassion and appreciation in there somewhere. I love that. Write
How
that
about
down.
respect?
Whatever that was.
Go this way.
Attentiveness.
Whatever you had, write that down because that was really good. Established. What was it, Kristen?
Organizational unity.
Established organizational
But I
unity.
think important too is
in the
how we
light
went about
of
it.
love and appreciation. In the light of love and appreciation. We can word it any way we want. That's just kind of the gist of
I know that when we started this, love was a word we were kind of going back and forth on. Or are we?
Respect we use.
I think it was kindness is the one we were going back and forth on.
Okay, so we can do.
Does anybody else have a better word for love? And
Respect.
Please, respect.
Respect was kind of what we were talking about yesterday, replacing the word love with. I think that they're.
Okay.
Respect is something you can give to people even though you don't
Like them.
fondly as a character.
And you can love someone even though you may not like them. So respect is good.
Love is such an important word here, and I think we overuse it a lot. So I'd like the word love to be really triumphant over all other words.
Okay.
So I think respect is something that
sounds good.
that is something we should give everyone, but love is kind of that extra step above.
Love
like
is a
that.
battlefield.
Yeah.
Love is also a battlefield.
Love is about what it is.
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. So, Kristen, do you want to go ahead and give us what we got so far?
So, establish organizational unity in the light of respect and appreciation.
How do we feel about that?
I love it.
I like it.
Sounds jazzy.
I love
Okay,
it.
so go ahead and bring it to a vote. Verbiage on that sounds
I
great.
just want to know what love's got to do with it.
Okay, I see we don't have all hands up, and in the light of, oh, did you? Okay, just so we know too, guys, if there is something you don't feel is driving with you or don't you agree with, and you decide not to vote on it, I would like to hear as to why you decided you didn't want to vote for it. I think that just because you weren't part of the majority doesn't mean the minority voice isn't just as important. So. You'll get an opportunity to speak that. So, Kristen, one more time, you want to read it to us?
Established organizational unity in the light of respect and appreciation.
Awesome. Okay, so now on to Miss Amanda. Amanda placed an emphasis on resolving conflict through a council of peers and to hold the leaders accountable. So Amanda really wanted to have the leaders kind of held at a different precedence than everyone else. She really thought that the people we vote in to represent us should be definitely set at a different standard, you know, being the mouthpiece and what have you, just to kind of avoid what we see out there, which is a lot of times often our political leaders maybe not doing their best to represent the group as a whole. Also, resolving conflict was a really big point that she wanted to stress on. How we deal with any indifferences that we have is very important. How do we feel about the verbiage in the sentence? Go ahead.
I have issue.
Go ahead.
I'm coming from an egalitarian community. Egalitarian means everyone is equal. The leaders aren't better, the followers aren't better. Matter of fact, I like everyone to take a turn at every chore so that you feel comfortable. I'd like to see, Chris in charge of the cows for a month, and then Dedeker in charge of the cows for a month, and same with the carpentry, same with the cooking, so that everyone feels comfortable in the world knowing, man, if somebody leaves, if say I get sick of it, I'm like, I'm out of here. You know how to do the garden without me. It takes the fear out of it. You don't have to be forced to be in that role for long, but I'd like to at least be comfortable. And leaders to be accountable makes them separate from us, and I'm just into bringing people together. The first part I love, resolve conflict, I'm all about it. But I take issue with the leaders, especially...
You just think there should just be an absence of power in that respect?
Not that. I think that, of course, there should be somebody that we work with, but I think it should change, And I think that at any moment, if we're not liking what's going on, we'll move forward again. I really want not one person to be in charge of everything, Like in our community, we have a dish goddess. It doesn't matter, dish god, dish goddess. And how we work it is, somebody, say Jess, is in charge of the dishes. And that doesn't mean she has to do the dishes. That just means she does them sometimes. And if they're there and no one's around, she does them. But if she sees somebody hasn't done them in a while, she kindly says to them, Cal, I noticed you haven't done the dishes in a few days, and I see you've been working in the garden, but the house chores are important to everyone. And if she says that to me, I am like humbled immediately because I know that I haven't been pulling my weight. There is no defensiveness when the person in charge of the dishes, for now, if they happen to be aggressive, if they're like, Cal, what the heck, you haven't been in there, then we'll have a talk and say, either be kind or we'll pick somebody new to do it, you know.
So I think when you use words like in charge, it is in essence a leader.
Yes.
The word leader here doesn't necessarily have to mean a specific power or, like you say, a boss. Bosses and leaders are very different, and I do think that we should define one. To me, a boss is someone that sits at the top and says, you do this, and you do this. A leader is someone that pulls the chain from the front with everyone else, just so we know that there is a separation between a boss and a leader.
I love it.
So when we use the word leader, I think it's important we understand that it's not necessarily a boss that we're referring to. Does everyone agree with that?
I do. It's another thing I'd like to have a different word for because of the connotations culturally.
Sure.
And even when I hear it, I have to be like, leader, ooh. And then I go, okay, new, definition, right? And I don't want to have to do that on my head. I think we can find a nicer word.
Okay, does anybody have a word that they think would be kind of synonymous to leader, but maybe without the negative connotation?
Champion.
Yeah, Tompkins, that's awesome.
Advisor?
There's only one chunk.
Supervisor.
Okay.
Advisor, I like that.
Advisor, supervisor.
Advisor,
I like
how
that.
does that sound?
Sounds
About like
nicer.
a service leader.
It sounds like
You know, because it's like you're doing service for the group, and you happen to be leading that service for the time being.
I think that embodies the two ends of the spectrum. I'd like
Well,
Kristen's
we can
word
take
better
it to
because
a
it's
vote.
more
just
softer and in the
So
middle.
far, I've heard service leader and advisor. So if
That would be
anyone
good.
feels like service leader is an appropriate replacement for just
Say it
leader,
out loud.
you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Servant,
Let's redefine servant.
because you're serving your people.
Yep.
You're
The
serving-
barn servant. The dish servant.
I don't like that.
Nope.
That's okay.
But that also has a negative connotation.
The bottom line is anyway,
That servant has a negative connotation in itself.
Servant?
She's
I
doing
don't
gardening,
think
I'm
so.
doing infrastructure, he's in the kitchen.
You weren't raised in the South.
The
so-
bottom line is that people are
negative.
over
It
those
has
areas.
negative. Let's not
Whatever
talk
you
over
wanna
each other.
call
We
it,
all got
you know,
time.
Whatever
We
you
got
want to
time.
call it.
Go ahead, Mike.
You know, I know jumping forward because this is Amanda's pillar, but that's the reason I said that the person in this position back then should be called representative because they're the ones advocating for
I
that
like the
particular
representative.
area.
That's a great
Yes, I like
word.
that. Representative.
Does everybody want to vote on the word representative?
I like that one.
I love it.
But it's kind
Do you
of
mind
It's
if I
kind
open
of
this
like we have a
door?
time machine now.
Really hot. Let's look at
You
this.
know, like we're going, but anyway, we
back.
can
Let's look at this. I'll be right back. I'm going to open this door real quick.
No, we can't.
Oh, we can't? Okay.
So, just as a group, do we find that the word representative is a little less
bossy.
intimidating sounding than a
Yeah, I
leader?
think
love
it's more gentler.
Okay, so resolve conflict through a council of peers. Representatives are to be held accountable. Does that mean only representatives are to be held accountable, or does that mean that we as a group should hold ourselves individually accountable? Only because I'm saying
I
we're
think
supposed to be
coupled with
holding
yours,
ourselves
yeah.
responsible here,
Right.
and then down here we kind of contradict ourselves and say that
No,
leaders
it's
are
not
to be
It's not a
contradiction.
contradiction, it's an addition.
It's an addition.
So then I just want to make sure that we are all on the same, before we just say, yeah, that sounds great, just so we all clarify that, are we to first and foremost take ourselves
Yes, that's why it's
responsibly?
at the top of the list.
But if as a group we're having a hard time coming together, then it would be maybe the representatives' job to do their best to bring us together in unison.
I love it.
And in that act, they're accountable.
Yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Does that sound okay? Okay, so what do we have so far, Kristen?
So resolve conflict through a council of peers, representatives to be accountable? Is that, okay.
Should be are to be accountable or just to be accountable?
Leaders are to be held
accountable.
To be held
To be held accountable.
Are to be held accountable?
Ooh, that sounds a little like.
That sounds like punishment to be
Serious.
held.
Okay, well, let's
Just
To be
rephrase.
accountable.
Resolve conflict through a council of peers. Leaders are to be held accountable for, let's
be
say,
accountable
group.
without the word held.
Very
unison. Huh?
Trusted. Yeah.
Oh, I like
Okay.
that.
Nice.
Yes.
Leaders are to be trusted.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Representatives
Okay.
are to be trusted.
Representatives
But my
are to be
implication, though, that sounds to me like So trust me, so don't question me.
Yeah.
And I feel the accountable.
Representatives are to trust.
Well, we put a lot of faith into our leaders, and it's kind of lashed back at us in the past. But I think moving forward, where our leaders are kind of striving more.
So do we want to kind of add an amendment, like
to be trusted and accountable?
I say, sorry.
Go ahead.
I say accountable. Accountable means something different than trusted. Accountable meaning because we do put trust, we give that automatically into an area. However, it doesn't always work well. And so to be trusted only rather than accountable, I believe there should be action done, not saying we stoned someone, but action should be done after. So you can trust someone, but nothing happens after. But being accountable for something, if it falls by the wayside, then there's action taken afterwards. Meaning we can switch, we can change, it's not a negative thing per se, but something's being done when it's accountable, when accountability.
So the word accountable, at least the way it's hitting my ears, makes it sound like there's some kind of repercussion. Have they been found to not be accountable? That would be something that we would have to obviously figure out before we're able to decide if the word accountable is appropriate or not. Go ahead.
To me, I see the word accountable not as much of a repercussion or punishment, but just requires an explanation. So
a change will come.
Yeah, not like you're going to be like lashed if something happens. It's just like first we're going to hear out your explanation as to why this didn't get done or why this is going wrong. And then after your explanation, we decide moving forward, how do we handle that? I don't see it as being a punishment per se.
What if we said representatives are to serve Utopia?
I don't like
That's
that.
given, right?
I don't like the word
That's what you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Go ahead.
I would like to say approachable and accountable. Because just because you're the leader of the garden doesn't mean that someone can't come to whoever's doing that or the building and say, I'm curious, what's this going to be? A leader should be approachable and not, don't mess with me, or I'm in charge of this. Approachable and accountable. Because if you can be accountable, but if no one's going to talk to you because they're scared of you, then there's no dialogue, and then there's passive aggressiveness.
Go ahead, Bella.
I feel that it should say, I would like for it to say, let's see, trusted with accountability. Because what I've seen happen here is almost every single time someone's gone into leadership, they've had the knees knocked out from underneath them, and they've been undermined. And then I see the wind from their sails get deflated, and I really think it really affected Utopia from being built into a bigger Utopia that we could be. I mean, every single time someone came into representation or leadership, they got their knees knocked out from underneath them. So I feel that Chris's idea of having the word trusted somewhere in there is good. However, with accountability, so that's a little more transparent. That's how I feel.
What if we made it a little longer and say that we want our representatives to
be accountable with
act in the best interest of the group at all times?
Well, but
we also need to trust them more. I want something in there.
Wouldn't you trust someone that kind of has the best interest of the group at heart?
Based on the past and what's happened to every single leader in leadership here, I would like to see that we trust the people in leadership.
I've seen that, and just to play the devil's advocate, we have seen our leaders kind of disappoint us.
That's why I said
with
accountability and transparency. Okay. But we need to trust them more.
Go ahead.
I would ask for kind of a clarification on this whole process, in that with each pillar, it's a distillation of what happened when that particular person was in power. Mm-hmm. And so is it that this exercise is that we're finding that distillation of what happened or what was put forth when it was in power, or are we retroactively adding things? That's my thing. Because, I totally agree. Yes, leaders approachable. Yes, leaders be trusted. But the whole focus of Amanda's government was the accountability.
Mm-hmm. Because there was no accountability.
So, but that's my question: is are we just distilling what actually happened, or are we using this as an opportunity to modify?
We, from what I understand, this is the opportunity to modify. We are using what happened as sort of a jumping off point or a springboard for discussion to discuss what we gathered from that.
That opens it up a lot more.
Opens up the door.
And also I feel, I know I'm not alone in this, when you're trusted more, you're more likely to want to bring things to the group. I know when I got my legs knocked out from underneath me and I saw a few other people happen to them as well, it makes you scared to death to even come to a group setting because you feel like you're going to get your head chopped off. So I really feel strongly about trusting our leaders with accountability, and really I feel that would be a way to move forward with Utopia, with our group.
So I'm hearing that accountability is an acceptable word, and I'm hearing that it's not. So can I get a vote to say who thinks accountability is acceptable in this sentence?
Yeah.
Go ahead if you want to say something.
I mean, we just keep using the same words. We have responsible, accountable. What is this?
I think the word that we're questioning is the word trust text. We agree on accountability.
From what I understand, what we are is we're finding different words to say the same thing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but understand that that is what we're doing.
Can we
we're
do
kind
a vote
of just
on the
taking.
word trust? Can we do a vote on the, maybe not the word trust, but that we can give our leaders a little more leeway? Who is leading? That means you too. When you're in leadership, we'll give you more leeway. Can we do a vote who would?
I'm not super worried about my own leeway. I act in accordance to the group. I'm really just
super concerned about everybody in the group.
Well, I would also maybe continue to clarify this process in that we're not, my impression of this process is this isn't writing down the laws of Utopia. This isn't the legalese of Utopia.
Right.
So just because we don't put the word trust in there doesn't mean that no one's going to trust anybody ever again. Mm-hmm. This is the pillars of Utopia. This is more of a philosophical discussion of our civilization. You know, we can have a separate meeting for legalese. Mm-hmm. You know, the Constitution's written in legalese, as it should be. You know, the laws, the resolutions we bring forth are written more specifically, as they should be. This is the pillars. This is poetic. Yeah, you know, like just because we don't cover all our bases here doesn't mean that it's never going to come up again or that it's never going to happen again. This is just us building these foundations. You know. Mm-hmm. And that's my interpretation. I don't know if that's correct.
I think that that's great. And also, guys, remember, we are only on our 6th government. There are a lot of us that need to go. If you feel personally that something is vastly missed in our pillars, bring it forth in your government. You know, make sure that that's kind of a big point in yours. We'll practice it, and then it'll go into the pillars. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, leaders are to show fidelity towards the group.
Would you define fidelity for me, please?
Or defelity.
Or defelity. I would say fidelity is working in the best interest of your peers because you're helping them. Okay. You're there for your peers.
Does fidelity sound like a
And you're there with trust. Your peers have given you trust, and in return, you're there for them.
Because that
I take it as a husband-wife thing. Yeah. If we're going to redefine it, I'm open to that.
No, but fidelity isn't just based on relationships. Fidelity.
In common usage, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, you guys, like she said, this isn't the legalese. This is just kind of like a philosophical things to keep in mind when you're acting in a community. Are you going to be punished necessarily for breaking these? No, we don't have a law system. These are just really things that you should hold dear to your heart when you act in the community.
So I have resolve conflict through a council of peers. Representatives are to show fidelity towards group.
Does everyone feel like that's a philosophical principle that could help you? Go ahead.
Well, what about, because these are like the building blocks of our group. So like first it was like individuals, be good individuals. Second was like, let's create organizational to get our chores done. Third, let's have leaders. You know, like now we're starting to have building blocks of Utopia. And we can like say these kind of leaders are good people, they are accountable or whatever. But like I think what came out of Amanda's maybe is like we have leaders or we have representatives. We have people like dealing with this stuff. So we have like the individual, the group, and now we have to give some power over at certain times, take it away back and forth with particular individuals. We've you know, and Cal doesn't like that. He wants everybody to be on an equal plane. But like what Amanda's group did was say like, there should be people in charge of the barn. There should be people accountable for the garden. There should be people this and that. So like it's taking the individual and putting some responsibility on them for a particular organizational part of the structure.
So
I like the word accountability in there.
Do you think you have a better
or
system?
Like established leaders for the structure of our group, something like that.
So resolve what you're suggesting, or at least what I'm understanding, resolve conflict through a council of peers, and kind of elect representatives
for each
responsibility.
Large responsibility.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Should we just kind of make a little like
Should
for
we
the
call
sake
it
of
major area?
for the
I like
sake of
major
yeah,
area.
major area sounds nice. And then just to reiterate, do we have to say anything like for the sake of group organization or anything like that?
No, because
I think major areas, we know what those are.
Okay.
So are we taking out fidelity then?
Because like Debbie
Yeah.
said, this isn't legalese. These are just kind of buzzwords. Legalese would be a whole
Go ahead,
paragraph. on
I
that.
like the word open or openness because that shows like a two-way street. Like if a leader can say whatever they want, but also whatever anyone wants to say could be said to them. That's what I think that words sound more positive than accountability. Although I like the connotation of accountability, I think openness.
And I think what
shows more a two-way street.
you're right,
More
it does
approachable.
sound nice. And those are things we can address when we start to get down into creating laws from these pillars. We're getting a little maybe too in depth. All of these are going to spawn, if you will, for lack of a better, my English sucks. So all these are just kind of really like reference points, guys. And from them, you know, if we find them possible, we will birth laws. I've had a lot of like sexual birth, forgive me. But let's just remember that these aren't the laws. These are just from things that we value as principles. Okay?
So resolve conflict through a council of peers. Representatives are to be responsible for major areas and open to suggestions. I try to take her openness.
and flexible.
Yeah, or just be. We all know what open means. Just you can just
we're
shorten
kind
it
of
and say
getting
open
back
and
into the
responsible.
laws.
You can just shorten it to say open and responsible.
We're getting into like what the laws of being a leader kind of entail. I just think we're going a little bit too in depth.
Yeah.
When we do decide to address our leaders, then we can talk about what exactly a leader needs to have to stay in that position, or a representative if we decide. But those are all things that we can address later. So for the sake of moving on, do you want to go ahead and read that?
So resolve conflict through a council of peers. Representatives are to be responsible for major areas.
Does everyone find that that is something that we will later build upon?
Cool. Yes.
And get more in detail with? Go ahead and do a vote. Find the.
Yes.
Okay, so that's in there. Next we had Josh, investing in the future of Utopia. From what I understand about that, that kind of just means that as a group in a whole, we aren't really just spending money frivolously on wants and short end of the nose things. We're kind of looking economically wise, what's going to further us the farthest, the longest. Making responsible financial decisions that are going to benefit us long term. Go ahead.
My intention with that, and I've talked to Dedeker about it, is, you know, long-term infrastructure like the water heater, stuff like that, a washing machine down the road. And I talked to Dedeker about what we need to save each week to hit these financial goals, and we're going to figure out a formula. So this money needs to start being set aside. Whether that comes out of some of the savings, new revenue, whatever formula we decide, it needs to start happening. So when we go to make that purchase, the money's there. And a month down the road, when we want hot water, the money's not there, and we have to take it out of savings. So just some financial planning for the future, for future
And I'd also
projects.
like to say, too, that investing in the future of Utopia doesn't only have to mean financially. I think that the Constitution was written so well and forecasted so well that it's actually something that's still very viable today. I think when we think about investing in the future of Utopia, we want to think about the utopians and pioneers that are going to come even after us. So it's important that we really think about both sides, both financially for those that are here now, and philosophically and government-wise for those that are going to be here long-term and after us. So investing in the future of Utopia, understanding that invest doesn't just mean financially, it also means politically. Do we think that that's something that's...
I think that's good.
Good?
Sure.
Okay. Show of hands. Very good, guys. Awesome. Okay, second to last, we also have Mike. Hard work pays well, from Kristen. When that was brought forth to us, it was under, for lack of a better word, a capitalism scheme. Not scheme, that's also a poor word.
Capitalist structure.
I did not mean, I meant, I meant to say schematics or like blueprint. So my mistake. My English is terrible. I like to use words that I don't understand the definition of.
Perpetuating this evil stereotyping after we're here.
No, but it was under the idea that when she said hard work pays well, she really meant that those who are really going above and beyond deserve some kind of recognition. People that find it in themselves to work hard, regardless of if they're being paid or not, I think is important. So when I hear the word hard work pays well, it doesn't always mean money to me. It could come in the form of appreciation. It could come in the form of a non-monetary reward. It could come in the form of just, if you help me, I'll help you. So when we say hard work pays well,
I don't. Yeah. Sorry. I want to really make the point that it wasn't about money for me, and that's why I don't like the word pays. For me, I feel a better phrase to describe what I was trying to do is a group is only as strong as the individual efforts. The individual effort you're putting in the barn or in your group business or in your personal business, it's not about money per se to me. I think that's the thing I want to take away is our group, we're only going to be as strong as the individuals that make it up. If one of us gives up, two of us gives up, we're going to fall behind a little bit, I think. So I think that's more important.
So do you find that individual motivation is beneficial to a group in whole?
I liked what you said. What'd you say?
Yeah, I think I really like a group is only as strong as the individual efforts.
I like that.
I think I don't want to say individual motivation because then it becomes more of a single thing again, like my motivation for doing what I'm doing. And,
okay.
I feel
I like that too.
How do we feel about that, Kristen? You want to say it one more time?
The group is only as strong as its individual efforts.
I like that a lot.
Do we all feel like that's pretty good?
Yeah.
Good? I think that's great. Okay, very good.
Mike?
And Mike, do you kind of want to sum yours up into...
Oh, yeah,
This
my
isn't
current
done yet.
government. What's that?
Don't we wait until yours is done?
Well, yeah, but they kind of, okay, so.
Was it today?
I think there's a little bit of confusion. Some of the past people who have had governments acted as great leaders. I wanted to take it at a different angle. I didn't want to act as a personal leader, but rather just I wanted to share with you guys some concepts and some structures and give you an opportunity to put them in place. And I would act as sort of as an advisor as my time went along. I did that by first of all setting up a system of government that allowed for free elections from the lowest person here to everybody else low and high and everybody in between. I wanted to give you guys a chance to hold a free election. By doing that, I suppose I was giving up my opportunity to be a personal leader. But I wanted to show you guys that the group is more important than the individual. So we held elections right away. We elected a president. Now, I was a little worried that you guys would be afraid of structure and typical government, so I came up with sort of a different label to give than president. I gave the name Chonkins. It's a name or a new label that could be worn by anybody who the group believes should be moderating our leadership community, moderating our council. I also, with that Chonkins, I gave the group an opportunity at any time during any meeting to have a vote of non-confidence so that the term Chonkins could move from Rob to a new election and the Chonkins could be hexed. The next thing I did was create a judiciary body. And I know that you guys, again, there are people here that might not be crazy about the idea for various philosophies of holding trial. The purpose for me to hold a trial was to discern the difference between fact and opinion. I used that framework because that was the framework I knew how to, based on my background. I wanted to teach you guys the difference between, I heard so-and-so did this, and then we play telephone and everybody has an opinion of somebody and gossip, especially when it applies to actions that may or may not hurt the group. So I use the umbrella of a trial to sort of give some lessons. Whether the group moves forward and uses these trials or not is not really up to me. Also, like the Chonkins or president, that label put on the moderator of our council, I wanted to hold a fair election so that anybody here could become the judge of this trial, the moderator of an adjudicative process which teased out fact from opinions and everything else. I thought it was really empowering to allow you guys and myself to elect our own representatives, leaders, judges. Again, trial leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I didn't want you guys to overlook the opportunity to sort of learn some of those lessons. Like, is this relevant to the issue at hand? If we have a rule, does that mean this is applicable? So I use the term Tina Cece. And like the Chonkins, the Tina Cece, the judge, the moderator, could be replaced at any time. Also, I wanted a representative government. So I took what Amanda did and what Bella did and took it one further. I no longer wanted to have leadership positions in each of the major areas. Instead, what I thought would be interesting is to have those peoples that were leaders before act as representatives who could advocate for their major area. So for example, Josh just spoke about the need for a hot water heater. He's the representative. He can come to the leadership council or whatever, the Utopian council, and say, guys, this is the most important thing in your life. If we don't have a hot water heater in a month, you are going to be taking cold showers, you're going to be cranky, you're going to get sick, and things are going to fall apart. And this is how much it costs. What do you think? He's doing that in a way that poses no conflict of interest. Instead, he's allowed to advocate completely, to champion completely for what his group thinks is needed here. And that's really important when we have limited resources. We have such a tiny pie right now. I think it's great to have each area fighting, championing through their representative to get what that area needs, because it benefits us all in the end.
Do the order.
I know it's confusing because before me, our series was, I have these awesome ideas. I'm going to have you guys try them out. My ideas are just systems. They're not about people. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the leader any more than anybody else does. Finally, I set up the Utopian Council, which was for everybody. I thought that it was important to create this council. In my world, it would be a legislative branch, which is different than the executive branch or the judicial branch. Imagine if Josh, I'm sorry to keep using you, imagine if Hex, who was in charge of the garden, was also in charge of setting the agenda for the legislative council. There would be an incentive for her to put the garden at the beginning of each meeting and to say, guys, if we don't have these fences for the vegetables and pay for them with our limited resources, we're going to be, you're going to starve to death. It would pose a conflict of interest in my mind. But I wanted there to be a central council to go over everything. So that's what I did. I also limited the Chonkins, or the president at any given time, from having voting power in that Utopian council. I thought it was a good idea because that president sets the agenda and can have an opportunity to manipulate the agenda, to step back and say, you know what, I trust my Utopian council. I want them to lead when it comes to making the final decisions. I also wanted the Utopian council to create rules. I felt like a really important thing during my time was to establish written rules so that there's not so many gray areas. What I had seen before is people slinging the rules that were going around and changing them, manipulating them to their own benefit. Again, my time here in Utopia wasn't about me, it was about my ideas and creating this structure. I think some other people are going to come up along the way and have some really cool structures. And I would hate conflict of interest, advocacy, like all these other issues, personality issues, ego, everything else get in the way of their ideas and their ideals and the things they want to bring to the table. So I know it's been confusing for you guys. it's weird to have a faceless leader during a time of government, but I just thought it would be a good idea. With that said, if it's too complicated for you guys, or it's too just freaking annoying, I would give you guys the opportunity right now to give away all the power I gave you, and you could give it to me, and I could control 100% of the power. Is anybody interested in doing that?
We like the Tompkins government.
Okay. I was just goofing around.
Okay, so to sum up what we think then is most valuable or we can take away as a pillar from Mike's government, if no one minds, I'll start. What I found was most influential from Mike's reign was structure. And not only structure, but making sure we have a definitive set of guidelines and that we abide by them. They're not constantly changed or amended to kind of fit the situation, but they really are implemented in the way that we set forth, and that we don't kind of just like throw it all to the wind the first time something happens. Can anyone help me refine that thought into a nice sentence? Or does anyone else think that it's something other than what that is? I don't feel like we have to define the government in this pillar, but I do think it's important that we understand that whatever government or guideline we decide to abide by, that we follow it thoroughly, and anything it includes. Go ahead.
Like, if we set a guideline, I'd like to test it for a month and see if we like it, and then determine if it's working.
Yeah, that's all going to be addressed when it's time to choose our guidelines. But I just want to. I think what Mike was trying to get at with his government is that every time something happens here, we kind of all just go. It's like case by case, and nothing's really consecutive, and we never really come to the same end point. I think what he's looking for is a nice process or formulation that we can go by. Go ahead.
What if you just said like a methodical construction of our government process?
I think that you should have told me that 5 minutes ago.
Sounds like a winner.
Can you say it again? And can anyone write that down?
Kristen's got it.
What was it?
Methodical construction of government process.
Of governing process.
Governing process.
And what that is right now isn't necessary for us to do right now. We just want to make sure that whatever it is, it's kind of consecutively and consistently, thank you, implemented.
Construction of governing process.
Processes.
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 Prosthetics.
Okay, do we want to go ahead and take that into a vote?
Sounds good. Show of hands.
Say it again. Mike, would you mind saying it one more time?
Introduce a methodical
Aaron.
construction.
A methodical construction of governing processes.
So, for example,
as in setting up a structure, like a formalized structure.
Yeah. So, like in the Utopian Leadership Council, in my constitution that I wrote, that you could only bring your business ideas or expenses from the major area on Mondays or Thursdays. So, like on Wednesday, when all of a sudden you want to buy extra hay for the cow because the cow kicked it all over the bank, I would say, geez, unless it's an emergency, we can't vote on this now. Our process and our construction of our government is that we vote on these things on Monday and Thursday. And we do it in a way that, like, you have to propose a resolution to the board, to the council. So it's just like slows everything down, sort of. And I think the word methodical sort of implicates that.
Without choosing, just A, B, C, A, B, C.
Exactly. And that's why my meetings are always so boring. But they're also, there is room for passion through the representatives and other parts. Yeah, it is boring, and that's why people aren't crazy about watching.
But it's effective at the same time.
I don't know. That's the judge of you.
And Katie loves season.
I guess I kind of see where that went. A methodical what?
Construction of government processes.
A methodical construction of government processes. together and understand it, but sure, I'll vote for it.
Well, it's important that you understand before you vote for it.
A methodical construction.
Methodical is kind of like a step-by-step or calculated.
Formula.
Formula.
Like the opposite
Like
of
you
impulsive.
said, ABC, ABC.
The opposite
So
of
you could just
impulsive.
say a calculated construction of governing processes. So really being calculated and conscious while you're making and using the
Okay.
same formula each time for everything.
So somebody can't come in and go, oh, I want to do X, Y, Z today. I don't care if it's a group thing, you know, it just keeps it consistent.
That we're using the same formula for
Buying, as we're using for business building, as we're using for elections, as we're using
conflict resolution is going to
for
be dealt the
voting.
same way every time, regardless of the content. Buying process is going to be done the same way, regardless of the content.
But it
It's a
al-
nice foundation so you can get a little different layer.
But it also allows everybody a channel to create the world that they want to create here.
Does
Save
everyone-
the fact maybe you don't like the structure itself.
Structure allows for creativity.
And we don't have a structure yet, so don't everyone go, I don't know if I want to vote for that yet. We're just saying that whatever we do so choose to be our governing process, that we will give it that consideration. So, everybody feel like that's necessary?
Yes.
Do I have everybody? Is there anyone that doesn't feel that's necessary and would like to explain why? No? Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Moving forward, when we go to the 7th government, are they supposed to take all of these into their government as well?
That's the pillars are supposed to be. That's why investing in the future of Utopia is important. That us doing these pillars now, we're hoping. Can we enforce it if we're not here? No. But we're hoping that these are made so well that a Utopia would not want to function any other way, because this would, in essence, be perfect.
Oh, because I'm just thinking, in fact, like of a dictatorship or something. You're going against everything you're saying anyways. But if we're going to try that style of government, that all goes out the window.
We've already tried
Well,
that. We're
but
just taking
keep in mind that
50% of
that's
the government.
why this is a more philosophical discussion, that it's
Right, but that doesn't mean either way if it is or it
well,
or
I mean,
not.
what I would imagine is that these are something when it comes to the end of somebody's turn at a government rule, is you can kind of compare it to what we've established our pillars are.
Maybe somebody will be
You
a
know.
question authority. You know, that'll could be the outcome of their government.
Mhm.
You know, and that can fit in with the other pillars. We'll just have to figure out how the
Mhm.
puzzles kind of fit, the pieces fit together.
And we understand too when we're experimenting, like we did with anarchy, when we actually came down to do it, anarchy wasn't sufficient enough to do anything. We kind of had to take a break from anarchy and default. So if you will, this is our default structure. If we absolutely cannot function under the experimental government.
Right, okay.
So that being said, I understand that our economic structure has been problematic for some. I don't think it's a secret that we didn't get paid as well as we had hoped or would like to. And I know a lot of people, huh?
Today?
Yeah.
What do we get paid today?
$4.80 is your paycheck.
For some.
Not everybody.
For some.
Let me clarify.
For some. And just to kind of, would you mind?
Yeah.
Go ahead. He's going to talk to us a little bit about paychecks and why happened what, and then I'll kind of, as soon as he's finished, I'm going to let you guys know that we have one final thing to do. What's that?
Yeah,
He'll explain it to you. And then you guys, after he's done explaining kind of the economic,
We grab swords.
yeah, then we're going to fight to the death. But then we also have to do something after, so just keep that in mind. We have one more step.
So, it was always my understanding that there would be a floor and no ceiling on pay, depending on what we brought in. And the floor was to be $10. That way you can buy your needs, what have you. Well, the first time we come into this, we realized, oh, it doesn't work. Because the money, 80-20. How it was broken up was we had our 100% of the pie, minus taxes, and then the 20%, which was an enormous amount of money. Up to $30. Some people got a $30 paycheck. Now, that money didn't take into account for savings, bills, in total disbursement. So by the time that $100 gets whittled down by all the categories, the actual disbursement came down to $4.80
Per non-CEO.
Per non-CEO.
For everybody. CEOs get
That plus?
disbursement plus.
So they get that plus. So, to me, it doesn't work.
Do you have your notebook? You can show the breakdown of the math.
We have a breakdown.
We have
that's
it right here.
I have a breakdown that's here.
I mean, we can go through the numbers if you like and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's just not working. And you have it like a pass around, something you pass around.
This is yours, right, Aaron?
Yeah, that was
This
just
here.
the
What
way
is that?
it is. I'll explain it to him if you want.
Yeah, explain it. What is that?
All I did was write down the way so that people could actually see the way it's set up right now. I'm not saying I'm all behind it. I'm saying so people can get a real idea. I based it off of a $500 gross for personal business. The way that it comes in, the current way is 80-20 post-tax. So after we take out the 20% tax, okay?
This is what I just said.
Yeah.
All right,
Literally.
don't even worry about it. I've just said this, so we're not even going to go over that.
Question.
But
Yeah.
but he wants to go over the alternatives.
Oh, yeah, alternatives.
Let's wait on alternatives
Okay.
What's your
just for
question?
one moment.
Why wasn't it able for us to get the $10?
Because there wasn't enough money.
There wasn't enough money to get
Money
it.
Look, like
taking in.
chalk. You wanted to show them?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
please.
So not even out of our savings, not out of like what we normally
Well,
take the money
we've
from.
already allotted a certain money for savings and bills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the last thing to budge was what we pay ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Hold on a second. I personally, like at home, I pay myself first.
Yeah, you gotta eat.
That's what I do. I pay myself first, and then whatever's left over, I'll give to the bills. You know?
Seriously. you
And
have to
I
eat.
mean, there's always enough to go around, but you know, I worry about
Bella, please let me-
I worry about myself first. There's some chalk. There's some chalk right in here.
Yeah, got it.
Well, my question is though.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Just show like on
I think-
on a 100 gross.
You have
no, I
something?
think Aaron did a very clear breakdown.
I just want to make one
All
quick
of them?
comment. I think it's too soon to determine whether or not it's going to work or not because I've invested my house on a few paintings and I've got thousands of dollars of paintings that we could sell and 80% of that goes to the group. So I think it's too soon to say.
Oh no, it's not going to work. I assure you.
Let him show you the numbers.
Because Mike and I have gone
And
over this.
if
We
there's
started.
some
Hold on a
alternatives.
second. We started last week talking about this, Mike and I, and we sat down and we're like, ooh, well, wait a minute, this is kind of rough. Because let's just understand one thing: why people are paying for things.
I don't think we have to.
I just want that to be known. I want that out there. Why people are coming through those gates. It's to fund the project, not the person, not the individual. It's the project. And that's all I have to say on it. I am not going to bash anyone who makes money. Good. I'm glad. But it's just, I think we need to get disbursement a bit better. That's all. And I'll let Mike do the numbers that he brought up, and we'll go see what happens.
Well, this is based on. You can't use this.
You want yours that I have?
This is a personal thing.
Yeah, that's the personal one. That has nothing to do with the allocation
Which ones do you
set.
want? You want these specific numbers?
You want the one I have?
Let's say, yeah.
You guys got the payout amount if we were not to split it up 80-20?
Yeah, no, we've run a couple.
First of all, you guys got to realize this week we made $450.
Not
Not a lot of money.
Yeah, we didn't make this amount of money that we made.
All of that money was made on personal business endeavors. It wasn't made on any group endeavor.
Because we didn't do any Utopia experience.
We're not able to have a Utopia experience like we did the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks we made close to $3,000 a week. And based on this formula, without accounting for that 20% for individuals, we each made about $30, which was nice. Like, you guys got $30 2 weeks ago, you got $30 last week because of the Utopia experience.
this week we didn't have the Utopia experience, and we're cutting away at even that $450 because we're paying out that 20% post-tax for people. So
Hold on a sec. Do we want to wait till everybody is like paying attention, because this is like the most important thing?
Yeah.
So we got people walking in and out.
We get water.
Oh no, not you. I'm just saying we got people talking over here. We got old boy just walked out. Like everybody needs to sit here and listen to this. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's pretty important.
Yeah. So I guess because the food order is time sensitive.
Oh yeah. You got it done, right?
Yeah, the personal one, and he's doing the community one now.
Maybe we can just take a break for a minute and wait till that's done, and everybody can kind of like clear their heads, and we'll come back to it. Sound cool?
Good.